The cameras are locked. The tape marks are set on the floor. The live studio audience is seated, waiting for the familiar warmth of their favorite characters.
But behind the scenes, a load-bearing wall is quietly crumbling.
Exactly. It's a moment that leaves network executives scrambling, crews in a panic, and fans completely bewildered.
Because what happens when the highly lucrative, finely tuned machinery of network television suddenly loses its most essential gear?
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we are bringing you a massive deep dive. The topic we are tackling is why Anna Faris actually quit Mom.
Right, at the absolute height of its success, which is just, it's mind-blowing.
It really is. And we are going way beyond the tabloid headlines for this one. We're using her departure as a fascinating case study to show you what happens when the need for job security collides with the need for creative fulfillment.
Yeah, and how the machine of television can sometimes just suffocate the very talent it relies on.
To put this together, we pulled from a really rich stack of sources. We've got Faris's own candid confessions from podcasts like Empty Inside and Happy Sad Confused.
We're also looking at industry reporting from Variety and Cinema Blend.
Plus some really passionate fan discussions from the Reddit community.
And surprisingly, a fascinating academic paper from the Open Communication Journal that actually analyzes the environments of creative work in television.
So let's jump right in. We need to set the scene. It's late summer 2020.
Right. Production is just about to start for season 8 of Mom.
And Anna Faris is pulling in a reported $200,000 per episode.
Which is, that is serious network television money.
Huge money. She's only halfway through her contract, too. And abruptly, just out of nowhere, she walks away. She quits.
Just pulls the ripcord entirely. CBS executives were reportedly left completely scrambling.
According to those industry reports, crew members were describing it anonymously as a total nightmare behind the scenes.
Which makes sense because the show was one of CBS's most profitable properties during a really challenging economic time.
Yeah, and her co-stars, like Allison, Janney, and Jamie Presley, were apparently stunned.
The writers had to do this massive 11th-hour pivot. They ended up sending Faris's character, Christy, off to law school on the East Coast rather than killing her off.
But wait, I have to push back on this a little. Isn't Hollywood used to actors leaving shows?
You would think so, right?
Yeah, why was this specific exit considered a full-blown nightmare internally rather than just, a standard casting hurdle?
Well, this is where that academic study really comes into play. It connects the panic directly to the actual production environment.
Okay, break that down for us.
So according to this research by Richard Patterson in the Open Communication Journal, TV production is basically a constant battle. He calls it a battle of temporary order against incipient chaos.
Incipient chaos. That's a cinematic way to describe a sitcom set.
It really is. But it's accurate. The schedule is grueling. You have table reads, blocking, rehearsals, and then live shoots week after week.
And the glue holding all of that together is what the study calls collective creativity, right?
Exactly. It relies heavily on a deeply stable core team. When a co-lead abandons ship, it completely shatters the trust and stability that the whole crew relies on.
So the network wasn't just losing an actor.
No, they were losing the structural integrity of their entire creative environment. Faris was a localized pillar of that trust.
Wow. And later in the deep dive, we'll talk about a shocking twist from a totally different movie set that actually mirrors this exact feeling of being trapped.
Oh, yeah. That Scary Movie connection is wild. You won't want to miss that.
But for now, if leaving was going to cause such a massive nightmare, why did she actually do it? Why walk away from that much money?
It's because the stability of a long-running TV show had basically morphed into a creative trap for her.
She talked about this in her podcast interviews, right? She said she felt like she was running a marathon.
Yeah, she noted that prior to Mom, she had never had an acting job last longer than 3 months.
You shoot a movie, you wrap, you move on. 7 years is an eternity in comparison.
And the real issue for her became identity. She explained that by season 7, the writers had gotten to know her so well that they started blurring the lines.
The lines between Anna, the person, and Christy, the character.
Right. Faris felt like there was no delineation anymore.
It's kind of like having a friend group that only ever sees you as The funny one.
That's a great way to put it.
After 7 years, you start to feel like you're just wearing a caricature of yourself as a uniform, and you just can't take it off.
And the rigid format of a multicam sitcom makes that even worse. You have
Yeah.
tape marks on the floor, flat lighting, a live audience. She couldn't dive deep into the character's psychology even if she wanted to.
Which brings up what she called the likability factor.
Yes, the exhausting Hollywood mantra where you always have to be sweet and bubbly.
It's that pressure to just constantly be palatable for network syndication.
Exactly. And bringing it back to that academic paper, true talent thrives on adaptability and an exchange of ideas.
Right? You need room to play.
But when an actor feels their character has stagnated into this exaggerated version of themselves, the creative environment just dies.
If you're loving these Hollywood twists and this kind of behind-the-scenes breakdown, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Definitely hit that subscribe button.
So, while Faris was feeling totally trapped behind the camera, we have to look at what the audience was seeing at home.
Oh, did the viewers actually notice this creative stagnation?
We looked into the Reddit community discussions, specifically on the RCBS Mom subreddit, and it's fascinating.
It really is, because a lot of fans completely agreed with Faris's internal assessment.
They felt like Christy had regressed. They used the term Flanderization, where a character just becomes a caricature of their original trait.
Right, fans were saying she had become this immature, whiny caricature whose only personality traits were complaining about her mom and randomly shouting, "I'm a lawyer."
Which is just, it's brutal to hear as an actor, but it validated exactly what she was feeling.
Totally. And some fans even argued that Season 8, the season without her, was vastly better.
Which leads me to ask you, the listener, have you ever loved a show more after the main star actually left?
It's a crazy concept, but without Christy there, the show pivoted. It shifted from just a mother-daughter conflict into a true ensemble piece.
Fans on Reddit were saying it took on a Golden Girls vibe.
Yes. It allowed Allison Janney's character, Bonnie, to really shine without just bickering with her daughter.
And it gave supporting characters like Tammy so much more room to breathe.
So Faris's exit, even though it caused total chaos, inadvertently solved the show's biggest creative bottleneck.
It really did. But feeling trapped in a franchise isn't a new sensation for her.
No, not at all.
And to really understand why she walked away from Mom, we have to look back at a massive hidden bombshell from the very beginning of her career.
This is the Scary Movie parallel.
Right? Back in 2002, the creators of the Scary Movie franchise, the Wayans brothers, were being pushed out by the studio.
Yeah, after the second film. And Keenan Ivory Wayans, who basically discovered Faris, personally called her.
He asked her to quit Scary Movie 3 in solidarity with them. He reportedly told her, all they can do is sue you.
Which is just, wow.
Imagine being a struggling actor, right? You're living in a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, just trying to make it.
And the guy who plucked you out of obscurity tells you to walk away from a blockbuster franchise and just dare the studio to sue you.
It really highlights the complete lack of leverage she had back then. Early in her career, she just didn't have the financial or social capital to break a contract like that.
A lawsuit would have ended her career before it even really started.
Exactly. She had to stay for Scary Movie 3 and 4. She carried the franchise, but she felt devastated internally.
And that completely recontextualizes her exit from Mom.
It does. 20 years later, she had finally accumulated the power, the money, and the agency to just say no.
Leaving Mom wasn't just quitting a sitcom. It was the ultimate reclamation of the control she didn't have back in 2002.
Right. She went from being this powerless rookie who was forced to stay to a veteran who could afford to prioritize her own creative survival.
Stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed, because we are about to get into what her life looked like after she finally stepped off that treadmill.
Yeah, because what do you do when you finally break out of a 20-year Hollywood cycle of chasing roles and maintaining that likability factor?
Well, according to her podcast interviews, she legitimately considered retiring.
She literally asked herself if she had enough money to just stop.
And instead of jumping right into another grueling project, she just enjoyed the free time. She spent it with her son and her new husband.
But she did eventually return to acting.
She did, for a movie called The Estate. And this choice is so telling.
Oh, absolutely. In The Estate, she actively chose to play an atrocious, scheming person who is trying to steal her aunt's inheritance.
Think about how liberating that must be. After decades of having to be America's bubbly, sweet, likable sweetheart, she actively chooses to be unlikable on screen.
It's the ultimate palate cleanser.
It really is. She synthesizes this whole journey beautifully. She went from a powerless rookie to an exhausted veteran smothered by routine.
And finally, she finds joy again by choosing a project based purely on the freedom to play rather than the pressure to perform for a network.
So to wrap up this deep dive, I think Anna Faris's journey is a powerful reminder for all of us. Success doesn't always equal fulfillment.
Yeah, sometimes the bravest career move you can make is simply walking away from a sure thing.
Exactly. And that leaves us with a final provocative thought to mull over.
Right, because the television industry was built on the idea of locking actors into 7-year contracts to play the exact same predictable characters week after week.
But if human creativity inherently demands growth, change, and, the edge of chaos.
Is the traditional TV sitcom model fundamentally at odds with the very creative talent it relies on to survive?
It's a huge question.
Yeah.
And it really makes you rethink every sitcom you've ever watched.
It really does.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.